Hi guys, and welcome to JDM Masters, and today we are in a very dark place. It's a huge car park. It's right in the middle of the Yokohama Bay called Daikokufuto. We're going to be taking a look around, so come join us. So Daikokufuto, you may have seen this or heard of this name in popular media, in some of the videos on YouTube and probably in magazines. And today we are here to just give you a really quick review of the culture, the kind of cars that come here, and it's basically a melting pot for car enthusiasts that lives around the Tokyo, the Saitama, and of course the Kanagawa region where this is actually based. So let's break down what Daikokufuto means. In Japanese, you see the characters here, Daikoku, big, black, and Futo means port. So this is actually a reclaimed land, and around this car park is actually the place where a lot of cars get exported out of Japan. And you can see reference photos here how there's a ro-ro ship on the port always, and containers, and there's even car yards, auctions, and this is basically the largest export car port of Japan. But inside, in the middle of it, is the largest parking area, as it is known in Japanese, that is located in the Shutoko Expressway, which links Tokyo and the Kanagawa Prefecture, located on the very famous Wangan line, which you can see in reference photos here, contains a part of the motorway which is longest straight in Japan for a motorway. And so why do car enthusiasts come here? Let's have a quick look around and you'll understand why. So right now it is 9 p.m. on a Friday night. Car enthusiasts from around the region all come here to meet their friends, chit chat, talk, and admire other cars. And because it has such a huge parking space, as you can see, this vast number of lots all around me, there's more than enough spaces to fit maybe at least 300 to 400 cars. Friday night is when most car enthusiasts gather and sort of come here, and it's really like a live auto salon, a car park auto salon. And personally, we and our friends meet here almost every weekend, and meet other car enthusiasts, and sometimes those of you who watch our channel, thank you for all your support. We just passed 100,000, and come up and say hello. If you do see us here, we're very friendly. We're not gonna shout at you or whatever. Just come up, say hello to us, and yeah, we really wanted to introduce this really interesting car culture to you. So let's go have a look around. So Daikokufuto car parking area culture actually goes back to the 1980s. It was really, really popular and so packed that cars would be lining up on that little loop. As you see here, it's fantastic architecture of Japanese civil engineering. So back then, cars would literally be so packed, they'd be lining up just to get in. But these days, it's not that packed. And today is Friday, on just after a whole week spell of rain. Usually it's much more packed than this, but we're just gonna look around and see what interesting things we can find. This is gonna be an ongoing series, and we'll probably talk to owners, and sometimes interesting cars do appear. You can have everything from, for example, this Lancer Evolution 6 over here. This is what they call Itasha in Japan. Enthusiasts who also like anime and also like cars, and they sticker up their car with interesting self-made livery. Maybe not the best example, but we can probably review Itasha further on. And look at just rolled in. Midnight Purple R33 GTR. And this one's interesting because you see there's a foreigner who's driving the car, probably an American-based guy. You can see from the rear number plate is a Y instead of a Japanese character. A lot of followers and fans who watch our programs, and we do meet a lot of them. And it's also part of the culture now. And another thing that happens in Daikokufuto is people come here and to take photographs and take videos of other cars and make friends. And this is something that's part of the also Japanese subculture. and it's quite different from maybe for those of you who are watching in America, in Australia, in Europe, in Asia. So if you do come here, and it's really popular now with tourists, you can go up and talk to Japanese enthusiasts and ask them politely, can you take a picture of their car? And you know, if they do understand a little bit of English, just speak slowly and be friendly, be respectful, and you can make a lot of friends and get in that small part of the car culture. And what's really nice is that a lot of tourists who also come here from other parts of Japan, and it's just a nice place to share car culture and love of cars. Now, very different from maybe other car gatherings in different places in the world. You can see cars that's coming here, they're just rolling in very quietly. You don't see burnouts, you don't see loud revving of engines. That's all part of respecting each other and the community. It's a very integral part of Japanese culture. Obviously, if they were to do that, the police would come and shut them down really quick, which does happen quite often, not on a regular basis, but it's probably because there are some other interesting characters that maybe it's not here today. They call it onkyozoku. These guys come with huge built-up vans and more speakers inside than a discotheque, and they just start blasting that. The cops usually close them down. But otherwise, everyone's pretty much well behaved, and they're here to admire other cars. And it's just this sense of community that when you do come here, you're humbled by just that feel of how people just sort of interact with each other. Much more like observation and admiration rather than trying to one-up each other. There's something also about Japanese car enthusiasts. If you were to go up to them and praise them, oh, you have a really nice car, you got a nice body kit, they'll probably be the first to say and say, oh, no, yeah, like in Japanese, that's, it's not that great, I did put this and that. You don't see anybody boasting of high horsepower, or I've got these parts and how fast does it run. Most Japanese car enthusiasts do modifications to make themselves happy, because it's something that they like. They're following a certain kind of build or a trend, and they're happy that they can share this with others. So very, very different. And we've been here for quite a while, coming to this place, and always we do find a lot of nice cars. Let's see if we can find anything very clean. Let's have a look. Oh, and of course, if you love Skyline GTRs, being Kanagawa, you always find a lot of clean examples of Nissan Skylines of all kinds. Here, there's a very nice example of our friend's R32 GTR. Incidentally, this car was shown in our previous video with different livery, as you can see over here. It's owned by Ken M, our very good friend, and we'll probably be reviewing this in another kind of situation. But beside him is, so that looks like a GTR, but it's actually not. It's an ER34 2.5 GTT turbo rear-wheel drive, but very clean. Has the Nismo carbon fiber front bumper and the carbon fiber bonnet with the Z-Tune vents, I believe. But what's really nice, I like this. He is not trying to pretend that this is a GTR, and he's got the Skyline emblem attached to the grille. You can see big intercooler, very, very clean build. Behind that, you can see a couple of friends who have gathered. They've got the JDM Nismo and Nismo S with manual ones. And this is something you do also find in the Japanese car communities. As our friend Masa has also said, because he's Japanese and comes here very often, people here do like to stick to groups of other enthusiasts who have similar cars. So like, all Nismo, Nodes, all GTR, or Lancer Evolution, or the same kind. Much more than gathering with other people who have different sort of cars. And that's something also very interesting. It goes back into Japanese culture, how it's a very cliquey kind of thing. It goes back into maybe like sports clubs in school. But it's interesting that, when they get older and they get their first sports car, the first thing to do is look for other people who have the same cars with them. And on other days, like Wednesday nights, we do see a lot of car gatherings which are the same club. But today, I was hoping actually to see some of those Kaido racer types, Bozozoku style cars, which we'll probably see the next time we're here. Let's go further down the road and see what do we have. And here we have two clean examples of a Fairlady Z and a Subaru VAB STI. Very, very clean. Even normal, seemingly normal cars here, like the X20 IS. Behind me is a Volvo, probably not part of the enthusiast car scene. But don't forget that this is not just a parking area for car enthusiasts. It's a rest area for people who are traveling on the motorway, and it's meant for them to take a break. Probably more built for truck drivers, as you can see far back there. A truck parking space, and it's only for trailer trucks. And so the concept of the parking area on the Shutoko, which, by the way, is a toll road. And if you do come here to Japan, you can't just get on a taxi and get on here. If you do come here by taxi, it's difficult to call a taxi and you probably won't be able to get out. Most people do come here by either renting cars and trying to find their way on here. It's a bit complicated. We'll probably do another video where we'll explain to you how you can get here. But several of us do tours, which now it's right in the middle of the coronavirus situation. We do offer some tours that you can get here, so look out for that in the future. But otherwise, renting a car is probably the easiest way for you to come here and experience this culture. This is interesting here. Wow, this is the EK Ferio, which, as you can see, very stands out. This is more of USDM style, isn't it? So viewers out there who do this kind of style in America, let us know in the comments, is this authentic enough? Is it really USDM enough? So many genres in the same car park. And here is a Z33 Fairlady Z. I'm not too sure what this body kit is, but it's very clean, all black, and it's not excessively lowered. A lot of these guys tune their cars for visuals and exterior modifications. Also, another interesting thing about Japanese enthusiasts today, a lot of them do favor European cars, especially special specs ones like this. We do see a lot of Alpina and even Brabus models for Mercedes fans, maybe much more than in Europe. Let us know in the comments how many Alpinas you see around the world, whether you're in America or in Europe. But very clean. It's not cheap, actually. Big price premium over the standard model, and that's very interesting. Simply because there's not as many new JDM sports cars as there was in even the early 2000s, of course, the 1990s. So you get a large mix of everything, modern, European. Speaking of variety, here we have lined up 3 convertibles, first generation modern Volkswagen Beetle convertible, a BMW 6 Series convertible, and a Mercedes SL, and of course American Corvette, nice and striking yellow. There is quite a big following for American muscle cars here, actually. So it's not just completely JDM, but what we're interested in is how many young people are actually keeping or running and restoring these 90s JDM cars. And we're going to speak to one of our friends who knows a lot about the scene. Hey Ken, how you doing, mate? Good to see you here. So we were just talking a little bit about how a lot of young people here still want to run and keep 90s JDM cars.
Yep.
And it's very interesting because, a lot of these cars are, basically when they were kids, before even they were born. What do you think? Why do you think they like to keep those cars?
For one thing, they're affordable, right? Actually, some of them, maybe they were sold for like 2 or 3 million yen new, but in the used car market, they may be like less than 1 million yen, which is like pretty affordable even to like the young enthusiasts, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
That's got to be like the number one reason always.
But how many of them do you think were probably influenced by their dads, who liked 90s JDM cars, or probably from media like Initial D, and so they idolize these cars?
I mean, you go to somewhere like Auto Salon and ask maybe like 10 people, and I'm sure like 8 or 9 people are going to say, I know Initial D, or I've read Initial D before.
That's
like,
true.
People who are fascinated by 90s sports cars obviously had that influence, especially in Japan. People outside of Japan, sometimes they've never even heard of Initial D, but
right.
In Japan, it's like car enthusiasts grow up with Initial D.
Is it just Initial D? What about other kind of media?
I mean, Initial D is probably the biggest franchise. You look at like the list of mangas that the top mangas that sold in the world, and Initial D is like somewhere ranked like like 50 something. That's like pretty high for like that's in comparison to like Dragon Ball and like
That is true. And pretty big, even like overseas
big
use of that
franchise.
cars. Yeah. You told me you grew up playing a lot of it initially in manga.
Totally. Like I was in the arcade games, every week.
Wow.
2-3 times a week at least.
That's interesting. So what was the first 90s JDM car that you really liked and wanted to own?
Funny thing, the first car I ever got in Initial D arcade stage was an automatic Evo 7, and it was black too.
No way.
It was.
You actually got that.
I actually got that.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's very interesting because we do meet a lot of people in their early 20s, and some of them are not just like riced out Hashiria style trying to drive their car really fast and irresponsibly. Some of them do try to keep their car as stock as possible, and they actually spend money and restore them and keep them very nice.
I've met very few people like that.
There are actually.
Yeah.
There are.
You think my voice would be a little muffled through this thing?
No, it's fine.
How about that Cappuccino over there?
That is really interesting. K car sports cars are something that our viewers overseas rarely see and know quite little about. Wasn't there a red Cappuccino in Initial D?
There was. Sakamoto drives it in the rain and beats Takumi, I think. Oh, it comes pretty close to beating
beating. Yeah.
Because it's a lightweight car, and it has an advantage in the rain, right? When it's wet. I think that was the story.
And that's interesting because they're below 800 kilos. They're so small wheelbase, and they're tuned up to 130 horsepower. It's pretty fast. Let's go have a look at it. That one looks sick. It's got a carbon fiber roof. What it appears like to be a carbon fiber roof. I see this nice Euro R CL7 here. Look at those wheels. On those reminiscent of like old Speedstar wheels?
Initial D arcade stage had like type A, type B, type C tuning courses where it's like you could like tune them in a certain fashion.
Right. Yeah.
And the Cappuccino had to have like a tuning course that you kind of work yourself up with.
Right.
That had those wheels.
Oh yeah, did they?
Yeah,
wow.
I think so.
So maybe this owner is kind of like following that, trying to make a real life example of the Initial D game.
Yeah.
It's interesting. You do see a lot of Initial D replica cars sometimes. Not only just the AI Cherokee, but other cars as well.
The FDs, FCs are kind of like a cliche at this point. There's too many replicas.
It would be interesting to do something different.
You guys check out the Cappuccino. I think this is a very like JDM thing, like K sports cars.
But I am liking this Toyota Altezza RS200 over here. Kind of looks like one of our co-hosts' car, Kanto Josh. But this one is also really clean. It's maintained the stock badges, a little bit wider wheels, and it's not riced out. We do see a lot of enthusiasts here keeping their cars as clean. There's more of these clean cars than are pretty crazy cars. But maybe next time when we do come back, we'll try and show you some of the cars that are just absolutely crazy. Quite a lot of them do have interesting, unique tuning. Not many Japanese enthusiasts like to follow this kind of like a formula build. Like, for example, how in America or in Europe, a lot of people try to build spoon demo car replicas, for example.
Yeah.
You don't really see that in Japan.
Yeah, not as much. No. It comes from like that, I want to do like an exotic Japanese build, and they want to get it right, and it's like spoon respect, RA, Amemiya respect, whatever.
Yeah.
And they kind of go down that specific route. But here there's less of that, like Japan exotic kind of feeling. So I guess there's like less of a fad for it. I don't know.
I find it fascinating because most of Japanese society and the culture, people do try to tend to fall into one or two fixed groups of styles, like in fashion. But when it comes to cars, I see a lot more individual customizing of things they do to their cars in Japan. Yeah. What do you think it is? It's more of a way to express themselves outside of their
their own personality. They express their personality through their cars.
I feel like the DIY culture is a little more deep rooted here, just because there's so much like manufacturing and like craftsmanship and all that here in the culture. So, people are always kind of ready to get their hands dirty. It's considered like a good deed to like get your hands dirty and like really do stuff yourself.
But it's also quite different from the American way of doing DIY. It's
You think so?
It is.
I'm not that familiar with American culture actually.
Well, I think the difference is that many Americans do their own work, maintenance and changing parts, because they have the space
Right.
in their houses.
Right.
Here, maybe Japanese enthusiasts do less in their houses, but it's the thinking of what they want to do to their car that, like you said, is another part of the DIY tuning or customizing culture in Japan. So we do see cars that are just not the same, other than maybe R34 Bayside Blue Nismo body kit builds from you-know-who. Incidentally, we have 3 friends who have very similar looking Bayside Blue R34 GTRs, but that's kind of like the orthodox way to make it keep its value. I don't know. A lot of these cars, which many viewers have probably seen on the internet, in option magazines for the older generation, see it in its native land, in the jungle of all sports cars, and this is the weekly ritual, almost religious car gathering spot.
Although an interesting trend I've seen recently is that there's more and more European cars. I feel.
There are.
They're getting more and more popular here, I think. Even within young people, I feel.
It is, isn't it? And recently, in Tokyo itself, in like Tatsumi, we see
full of like Beamers, like Mercedes,
Lamborghinis,
Audis,
Porsches.
yeah.
Where do they get their money?
Save up,
Big
get a loan.
loans.
Yeah.
But it is becoming quite a trend.
It's a very welcoming culture. People are pretty, not outspoken, very shy, but once you start talking to people and get to know them a little, people are very, welcoming here. So, I can always help bridge that, if you're ever in Japan.
It's also good manners to ask people for permission before they do take photos of the car.
It's always polite, yeah.
Not touch the cars. Not that many people do that, but just common sense. How you would treat cars when you go to a car show, for example. That's a good way to think about that.
Taking pictures in general is, usually okay. Daikoku, everybody's here to usually talk about their cars, show off their cars, so.
And everyone's really friendly and open.
In general, it's okay.
Guys, let us know in the comments if you want to see Can-M's R32 GTR running videos.
Yeah, sure. And we always keep it safe on the road, right?
As safe as possible.
Yep.
So that was a quick overview of Daikokufuto and its culture. We'll be coming back here very often, and we do see and meet people with very interesting cars. We'll be sure to interview them and maybe do some test drives. So do keep following this series, and we'll be starting another series on like parking spots maybe in the future as well. So let us know in the comments if you guys would like to see any other spots, and hope you enjoyed this little episode, and until next time, peace out.